Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between StarTale's Bomber versus Donray Gu here on Daybreak. Now before I continue any further, let's go ahead and make sure. I always want to see that, yes, there is that little bit of audio coming in through my sound card. StarTale Bomber spawning in on the bottom left-hand side of the map as the blue Terran player. Meanwhile, Donray Gu spawning as the red Zerg on the top right-hand side of the map. This is going to be taking place here on Daybreak, and this is game 1 in a series from IPL season, or IPL 5 from Las Vegas, Nevada. Should be a very, very interesting series. I do thank IPL for releasing the replays for all of us to enjoy and watch at our own pace. Now, I got to apologize for yesterday's cast. If you guys do follow me religiously, I thank you, but yesterday my casts were just not up to snuff. I'll just say life got in the way. I tried to push through it, and sometimes quality over quantity, and that's why those casts are now down. Now we'll see what's going to be happening here, and we already see Donray Gu opening up with what I believe to be, yes, a 12 extractor trick. So he will be at 12 over 10 going into a rather early spawning pool. Now, with this, he should be able to put down a lot of pressure if he does decide to do this. We'll see he should have exactly 3 larvae at the time that this spawning pool does come out, or 2 larvae and then the third one coming out in just a second. Here, there's the Overlord, and now those are the 6 Zerglings' perfectly timed attack for aggression. Now, what we're going to see here is that Bomber is actually looking to do a 1 Rax expand. He doesn't have a front door seal, which may end up hurting him in the long run. But with 1 Marine and a couple SCVs, all the Zerglings are really going to be able to do is hamper or impair any serious... Oh, their Zerglings, are they going to engage? It looks like the Zerglings are going to engage against that SCV. There it goes. And now we may see... Oh, is Bomber still going to go for that greedy command center? No, he is not. He is going to be reacting well. And we are going to be seeing an additional supply depot placed down here. Now, the position is so that this Marine will be able to fight back. Are we going to perhaps see another building placed down here as well? That is going to be a very good question. There is another command center being built on the front. 2 Marines here. And the Marines are going to try to pressure and make sure that the Zerglings are not able to deal too much damage. There you go. 3 shots from 2 Marines does take it down. And a little bit of hampering in terms of the pressure there. Zerglings dancing back and forth. We see a 13 drone to 16 SCV advantage. Bomber, if he's able to hold this off, will be in a beautiful, beautiful situation, since he does already have that economic advantage going into the late early game. Now, taking a look at this, Donray Gu is getting off a lot of injects. He is able to train up 4 drones at a time. Bomber is actually building up a 3rd command center. So three command centers well before the 5-minute mark. And Bomber is going to be in a beautiful situation, but he is going to be rather low on units. He is banking on the fact that Donray Gu is going to only train these 6 Zerglings early on, and then just try and power drone behind this. You can see that the hatchery is already up here. No Overlords will be suiciding their way into actually spotting this additional command center. And I love the fact that Bomber actually built a refinery. Donray Gu sees this refinery, thinks, okay, nothing's out of the ordinary. Bomber is simply just teching. I know what's going on. We'll perhaps see a factory, see some reactor Hellions in maybe about 2 minutes time. He doesn't know about this 3rd command center. Hence, a 3rd orbital command in just a second, which will give him a very strong economic advantage, as we already see 2 orbital commands in play with the 3rd command center about to be completed. Now, Donray Gu is sitting at 31 drones. That is a significant advantage over the 23 SCVs. Those 2 mules will make up some of that difference. As we now are taking a look, Bomber does have a slight advantage in terms of overall resources. If you account for gas, perhaps there's only 1 drone on gas here as opposed to the typical 3. Now, Donray Gu is setting up his 3rd hatchery. 1 SCV tries to make his way out, not going to be able to do so. And the tricky part for Bomber is, how is he going to establish his next command center? He cannot take this all too easily, since he will be spreading himself a little bit too thin based upon the number of units he has. He doesn't have Hellions to really deal with and map control against those Zerglings, as an SCV is just wandering about. Oh, is the Overlord? Yes, the Overlord of Donregu does spot Bomber's extra orbital command already completed, and this is a huge play as Bomber now goes into a factory. The question is Donregu going to actually try and expand into a 4th base quickly, or is he going to instead just simply go for a macro hatch? At this stage, I would say Donregu should be going for a macro hatch. He doesn't want to expose himself. He doesn't even have the necessary drone saturation for 3 bases, let alone 4. So we should be seeing perhaps a macro hatch be coming in as a group of Marines already making their way out. The Baneling nest is just a little bit too slow, as these Marines should be able to deal a lot of damage. Stim pack is nearing completion. Combat shield not yet done, but one Marine will be holding that single Xel'Naga tower as it does retreat. Bomber does know about this hatchery here, as the Zergling's going to clean up the Marine at the Xel'Naga tower. 1-1 upgrades now coming in for both sides, as the Zerglings are going to be coming in, able to surround and eat through all of these Marines. Donregu just utilizing Marines, or utilizing Zerglings against those Marines. Beautifully played, well done. And we are now sitting at a 52 to 49 Harvester advantage for Donregu, but there are currently 4 mules in play, so that is going to really inflate everything. Now we see Zerglings trying to do a little bit of a front door pressure after taking down so many Marines. A lot of damage has been dealt, but Bomber with another bunker in the back here. Very great depth, knowing that even if one bunker falls, he has another one to cover, and Donregu did not want anything to do with that. Harvester count should be getting into the 70 range in just a moment for Donregu. Donregu at, I believe, the 14 to 18 minute mark should be able to get up to maximum supply if he tries to go for roaches. If he goes for something a little bit more expensive, say Mutalisk or Infestors, it should be the 18 minute mark if he tries to max out on supply. We right now see a 96 to 80 supply advantage, as Bomber is actually being very risky moving forward with this orbital command. This orbital command is normally a position that you would have planetary fortresses instead, as the Zerglings are going to clean up some of those units there. There is one siege tank up on the high ground. One Zergling does get cleaned up, and you can see that Donregu was expecting Bomber to take an expansion, but just not this one. Now, Bomber does have 3 orbital commands. He should be able to just call in mules here. Has transferred a good number of SCVs, as the Zerglings are now going to perhaps try and come through this back door. It's not going to work. Bomber does have a siege tank there, getting off one quick shot, dealing a lot of damage to Zerglings. The Zerglings did have armor upgrades, though, so the siege tank didn't get any kills, as it doesn't have the weapons upgrade just quite yet. Alright, in come the Zerglings. There is one Marine off over here. There's the cancellation, as the Zerglings are backing away. A new bunker needs to be established, perhaps here and here, to prevent any Zerglings from running in. Now, Donregu forced to take up this 4th base in a very forward position. This is similar to the BattleNet version of the map. 8 full mineral patches plus 2 gas here, as drones are now being transferred over. Mutalisks are now being added as well, but these Mutalisks are not going to be nearly as fast as they are in Heart of the Swarm. And I'm curious if whether or not these Mutalisks will even deal any serious damage. You can see the Marines are already upgraded at 1-1. A couple Marines are not going to take down that Overlord there, as the siege tanks are making their way out with only 1 medevac in production. Bomber could be able to clean this up very easily. He has the number of units, and a Queen going to simply fall. Meanwhile, Zerglings and Banelings crashing in, so this is going to turn into a base trade, and I believe the Mutalisk may be able to get this orbital command to catch on fire. Marines engaging. This hatchery is going to fall here. There is nothing to counterattack off over here. Scanner sweep reveals it, and now Donregu is going to end up losing another base. Unable to lift off that hatchery. Marines still trying to engage. This is not looking good at all for Donregu, but we could be seeing the starting of a very strong flank here in just a moment. Zergling's now running in. Baneling's coming in from both sides. A beautiful Baneling hit. And now DRG able to catch Bomber, who was really far on creep, and get them to fall down. All right, is it just me, or are the game sounds just a little bit too loud? Let me go ahead and adjust that. Yeah, let's bring that back down into a little bit more of a reasonable level. Zerglings still wandering around here. Mutalisks are not upgraded at all. Soon we'll have 1-0 upgrades. DRG adding more and more Mutalisks to his group. He currently has a flock of 8. We'll be going into about, 13 in just a second. And he's going to actually catch Bomber without any missile turrets and no Marines here. The Marines are now trying to make their way over. One Marine falls. Another Marine falls. Are we going to perhaps see a Mutalisk fall here? No. DRG, perhaps knowing how much hit points that his SCVs have. Oh, catching some Siege Tank out of position. One Siege Tank, does not fall. As a Marine and a Mutalisk does fall here, so a low hit point Siege Tank may end up getting repaired, as we now see the hatchery is being replenished. Where was that orbital command? I don't know if that orbital command was actually destroyed, as Zergling's now running in. Banelings, are they going to find a good splashing point? Yes, they are. And DRG looking oh so strong right now with a 60 supply advantage. Up 4 bases to 2 against Bomber. Bomber is in serious trouble. Zerglings still pressuring that front door. This hatchery is still not yet running, but it doesn't matter, as we are going to see a flood and now come in. Zerglings, Mutalisks finishing off the siege tanks. And this should be it. Bomber now trying to do a little bit of stutter step retreating. It is not going to work all too well. Mutalisks are still in the air with that 1-0 upgrades, and there is the GG. Bomber loses game 1 here on Daybreak. A very good, very fast-paced back and forth game between DRG and StarTale's Bomber. I'm just trying to recap perhaps what the breaking point was, and I really believe it was Bomber getting a bit perhaps too greedy, fighting on creep here. You could see that the siege tanks and all of those Marines who were grouped together, as soon as those Banelings rolled in, Banelings on creep are faster than Marines, and also the limited area for those Marines here meant that they could not split. They were getting attacked from the front and the back. The Banelings able to just melt a pocket of Marines, and once that happened, the Mutalisks were pretty much able to re-establish map control and take the game. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1 in this series. Stay tuned for game 2.